Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to the 33rd episode of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian, for news, chats, and reviews. And joining you as always is myself, Ewan Ramsey, and Alan Scrimger. For today's episode, obviously we're going to go in to the main topic, that was the game that was held at Tynecastle yesterday, which was Sunday, Hearts versus Rangers, which unfortunately ended in a 2-0 defeat to the Hearts. Of course, we'll go into the main sort of events that took place throughout the game as well, and got back Alan's news segment as well, so we'll bring that to you in due course. And of course, once we have talked through the Rangers game, we will dive into a preview for next week's game away to Dundee at Dens Park. So that's going to be the main agenda for this week's podcast. So before we do kick things off, as always, guys, if you're not a fan of the Since I Was Young podcast, and if you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing, smash that like button as always, because it always helps us out massively. And also as well, if you want to get in contact with us through our socials as well, all the links will be in the description as well as on screen, all at SIWY Pod. Alternatively as well, if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, you can as well. It will be in the description as well as on screen, since I was young 1874 at gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, you can. Our Twitter links will also be in the description, so getting in contact if you want to throw your abuse our way. So Alan, as I just said there, we've got a few things to go into with your news segment. First things being first, there's a bit of a cheeky rumour going about that there might be a player that could be linked to the Hearts throughout the January transfer window. What's happening with that?
Yeah, it was a tweet that I saw the other day, actually. And I haven't really seen it reported anywhere else, so it could be legit, but then it could be just nonsense. But then you just never know with these things. I mean, the Cammy Devlin story was by a random Twitter account from Australia, so that grew legs, and then here we are.
Yeah.
But essentially, the player in question, he plays in the MLS for Montreal Impact. He's a right back who can also apparently play right midfield, so I assume kind of like a right wing back type of player.
Interesting.
And his name is Zachary Brault-Guillard.
I like it.
I'm not going to try and pronounce that again.
I like it. I like it.
That's as close as you're going to get. Essentially, apparently he's a Canadian under-23 international, contracted with Montreal Impact until December of next year. So whether it would be a permanent or whether he's one that we're keeping an eye on, it might even be a deal for next season rather than January.
Possibly, yeah.
But I mean, I think I watched a few clips and did a little bit of reading up on him, and he seems to be quite a little physical boy. So, hopefully it could be something. There's a few clubs in Scandinavia that are looking at him as well. I think Bromby and I think, oh God, who else was it? It was some Scandinavian teams, Swedish and Danish teams are sniffing around him as well. So I think it's interesting that we're looking at sort of players from that kind of market, players that are obviously looking for the opportunity to come and play in Europe.
Of course.
Cammy Devlin did it, obviously coming from Australia, and he's obviously spoken a lot about the pool of coming into Europe and playing at this level.
Of course.
So hopefully, if there is any legs to this, there might not be, and he might end up somewhere else. But I just thought it was interesting because this is the time of year when all the stories start coming out, and normally it's players that you've at least kind of heard the names before, or roughly who they are.
I get you, man, but if it does start to grow legs, guys, you heard it here first. So but to be fair, I probably wouldn't take notice like all of it, because our associates can normally be quite pish, so we won't delve too much on that. But just while you're on that note, I can understand, in the sense to maybe get a right back in if it may be for next year, possibly for the January, because with still no sort of real news on Smith, and with Moore as well still being on loan. I mean, that could possibly make sense as well. And I just hope that throughout next month, especially as well, we have to get a striker. We have to get a striker. We have to get a striker, Alan. I'm so like, I was shouting at the top of the hills even before the season started, and I still think that. So hopefully. And lastly, for the news segment, Alan, even though it wasn't the result in terms of on the pitch, it was a monumental day in terms of the amount of the funds raised from quite a few groups involving Hearts. Would you like to share just some of the figures that were made throughout the weekend, mate?
Yeah, I'll fire away, and I've sort of sourced these figures kind of very briefly, so forgive me if they're not 100% accurate, but I believe the majority are. The players in the warm-ups before the game, they wore obviously special T-shirts. Hearts obviously with memories of Zaliukas, and for Rangers it was obviously Fernando Rickson. Both players sadly lost, lives lost at the hands of motor neuron disease. So the clubs basically said that this game we're gonna raise some funds, and we're gonna put it out there. They had a text line that you could donate to, and obviously they auctioned off these warm-up T-shirts that the players wore at the end. And I had information that they raised £40,000.
Absolutely amazing.
Both sets of fans, both sets of fans. There was auctions of T-shirts after the games as well in the hospitality. Now I'm going off of, this is obviously a big shout to a fellow Hearts podcast, probably one of the OGs, the originals, shall we say. This is My Story Boys. I feel like we mention them every now and again here.
Of course.
They were a massive platform for this this fundraising effort. They got together with Big Hearts and also the Portobello Hearts as well. And they did obviously a series of different things. They donated tickets to people that weren't able to go, less fortunate families, etc., that otherwise wouldn't have been able to make it to a game like that. And it's especially this time of year as well.
Yeah,
it's a nice, it's obviously for the charity, and it's great. It's absolutely amazing. But for this time of year, money's tight for a lot of families, and so it was just a really, really wholesome thing to do. And there was a few families that benefited from that. In terms of, now I'm reading it straight off of This Is My Story Twitter account, and they said that they gave away over 100 tickets between us and Big Hearts. We raised over
phenomenal.
£1,100 in money. And here are we. Today at Hospitality, both sets of fans have raised £11,000 in the auction. So it just shows you
fan base in Scotland. I'm sorry, best fan base in Scotland without a doubt.
I've said it multiple times, and we are there is no fan base like the Heart of Midlothian fan base.
There is not.
The club on the brink of going out of business. The fans rallied and saved them, and then now we're going down that whole new direction with the Foundation of Hearts and everything like that. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I mean, as I say, big, massive respect to the This Is My Story guys and the Big Hearts charity and Portobello Hearts and everyone that was involved. Just a massive, massive pat on the back for every single one of them.
So I think that kind of wraps up our news segment. As always, Alan, thank you very much for that, mate. So unfortunately, we have to dive into this and we have to talk about it, unfortunately. But there are a few interesting topics to go through, which we will bring you. So, of course, as I previously mentioned, it was Hearts versus Rangers yesterday, which was Sunday, the 12th of December, 12 o'clock kickoff at Tynecastle. So before we talk about the actual game itself, I'll just delve into the lineup, which I've got in my hands. We set up, we set up in the same sort of shape as Rangers, which was interesting, which I believed to be a 4-2-3-1, which consisted of course, Gordon, Moore, Suter, Halkett, and Kingsley at the back, Haring and Devling in the centre, Ginnelly, Mackay and Mackay Stephen, and the lone striker Liam Boyce up front. So I would like to start off with that, Alan. Was that a bit of a surprise in the sense that we lined up the same as Rangers? Because the only reason that I asked, and one thing that about I found strange about it, because we mentioned it like a few weeks ago, is that personally I don't think you should necessarily change your natural shape in our sense, which has been a 3-4-3 usually throughout this season. Do you think that was a bit of a sort of tactical thing for the Robbie, or do you just think that he wanted to try and match sort of Rangers the player for the player?
I think it's probably a mixture of both, to be honest. I think the playing the three at the back with the wing backs has worked for us at home. But I think you've got to look at Rangers' strengths as well. And obviously, the biggest Rangers' strength is their forwards. Morelos, Kent, that Sakala boy, I haven't seen much of him, but I was very impressed with him.
Yeah.
Aribo, they've got quick players up front, so I think Robbie was doing it to try and sort of combat that rather than matching them, because I don't think that's what it was about. I think he was just doing it because he knew that the threat of the Rangers forwards, and he thought we're probably a bit more stable in a back four, if that makes sense.
I
do you know what I mean? You're sacrificing the wing backs bombing forward, but in a game against Rangers, you kind of need to be a bit secure at the back, because obviously, as we found out to our cost. I was more. I think it's one of those as well. I think people don't actually think about it, but Benny not being in the team is a massive loss from midfield. So, if you're adding an extra midfielder into there, which is essentially what it was, that's going to help, to have three in the middle as opposed to the two, which has been Devlin and Benny for the majority of the season so far. It just shows you how important one of those two is, that when they're out, we need to have an extra person in the middle as well.
We can kind of dive straight into the game. And strangely, we got the first sort of chance of the match. I will say, as soon as the Rangers sort of kicked off, the players were straight in there. I think it was Janelli that just sort of bashed over. I don't know, it was a Rebo. No, it was the Barisic. Sorry, yeah. So yes, for the first chance, it was our classic hoof the fucking ball up the field from John Suter, and the boys actually did well to actually sort of take it down to his feet, because it was almost as if the Rangers defenders moved forward, not sort of anticipating that the ball would actually stop at the boys' feet. But as soon as he hit it and at the angle that the ball was actually going, I genuinely thought that it was in. But you have to give credit where it's due. It was a great save from McGregor. I think that's all you can really say about it. I just genuinely thought that it was going to be a very early lead for the Hearts.
Yeah, it was a really, really good start. And like you, I thought when I saw Boyce looking over the keeper, I thought that's in. It has to be. But McGregor is a fantastic goalkeeper as well.
Definitely.
Not as fantastic as Craig Gordon, but still very good. But yeah, it was one of those, he full length tips it over the bar. So it was annoying because getting a goal that early on would have been huge.
Definitely.
And we would have deserved it as well, because we actually started the game really well.
We did.
It's one of those, we started on the front foot, we got in their faces, which is exactly what Robbie said we were going to do. So it was really, really nice to see that.
Definitely, man. I mean, I don't know if I want to get into it too early, but concerning was it our top goal scorer of the season so far. Now, I don't know about you, Alan, but since I've actually came onto Twitter, a thing that I tend to actually do now is when a game actually ends, I'm straight on there just to see what everybody's saying. Now, I saw a few tweets, and I genuinely can't remember who said them, but everybody seemed to be hating on him, hating on Boyce. Now, I don't know where the fuck all this is coming from. Now, I don't know what everybody kind of jumps on the bandwagon when he doesn't take his chances. Now, yeah, granted, I've said this like a few times where, I think he could have done slightly the better and a bit more clinical with his shots on goal, but I thought he actually did like all right, you know what I mean. And I just didn't know this sort of hatred, well, not hatred, but hate towards him, I thought was a bit uncalled for as well. And not to mention him, but I heard one person saying about Cammy Devlin is apparently shite since he came here. I was like,
I know.
What? Sorry, what?
I know.
My word.
It is crazy. It's crazy. It really is. And I don't understand it. Well, I mean, I say I don't understand it. I do understand it.
I do understand it, but
when people after a game of football, they'll go onto Twitter and they'll just rant. And a lot of it isn't. I know I do it. I do it all the time. I'm guilty of that as well. I'm the worst. But a lot of it is in the heat of the moment, having just watched a game of football, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
man,
I get that.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people, if Liam Boyce had an absolute stinker, or he's missed multiple chances, they'll go on and they'll say, "Oh, he was crap," or he was this, that, and the next thing. Liam Boyce will be Liam Boyce's biggest critic. He will have left that game, and he'll be fuming that he didn't score. Because he had multiple opportunities to get a goal.
Yeah.
But I had a conversation with someone, and the name totally escapes me, so forgive me if you're listening, but they mentioned something along the lines of, if he wasn't scoring the penalties, then his goal return wouldn't be as good. And I took issue with that, because I'm like, well, yes, that's correct, but a penalty's still a goal. Like saying Stephen Kingsley doesn't do anything apart from take free kicks. It's like, well, if you score them, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's the certain section that seemed to have an axe to grind against Liam Boyce every time he misses or every time he doesn't have a great game.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. We've said this multiple times, but
of course,
I think Liam Boyce is so much more than a goal scorer.
He is.
He is, and I think people, I'm not saying they don't appreciate that, but the way the system is, he has to be that link man. He has to be the one that's in the middle, dictating it, helping, laying the ball to Ginnelly, laying the ball to Barry Mackay, giving it to Gary Mackay-Steven, whoever he's playing with. Liam Boyce is the most influential outfield player we have by a distance.
I agree.
And I would love Liam Boyce to be sitting right now with 16, 17 goals. And realistically, he probably could be.
Yeah.
With some of the chances he's missed this season. But he's our top goal scorer. He's carried us with the goals he's got so far.
Definitely.
So, yeah. But again,
anyhow,
the lob over McGregor was very, very unfortunate not to go in. And had it gone in, it would have been an unbelievable goal to start a game.
You and me both, Alan. But unfortunately, the first goal did come not too long after the first chance for Hearts, and it unfortunately wasn't for us. So I think it was after 10 or if my memory serves, 14 minutes, I believe.
I've blotted it from my memory.
Blotted, great word, Alan. So as the memory served me right, it was Kent on the far left that actually did quite well to get away from the moor. As you said, at the start, Alan, that front line that they have are just so fucking quick. He had played across that, then fell to, I think it might have been Sakala. And again, just to highlight the quickness of their players, Devlin got left for dead. Like it was literally in the blink of an eye. And he played it into Morelos, who just had a one-touch hit, and it went past Craig Gordon for the first goal of the game.
The one issue I have is that we just stood off. We just stood off defensively, and like you say, I don't know what Devlin was trying to do. I don't know if he thought that he had more space in the box. I don't know if he knew he was inside the box and didn't want to foul him, or it's an error from Devlin, and I don't like to say it because it is an error.
No. But like at the same time, you do have to take into like account how quick he was, though.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. But then also like Devlin loses him, and then Kingsley is the man who's in front of Morelos, and Kingsley gets dragged towards the ball because Sakala's just beaten Devlin. So Kingsley leaves Morelos completely on his own, which is switching off as well.
Yeah.
But again, he's drawn into the ball and Sakala passes it to Morelos. And this is something that I will say, you do not get, like, Alfredo Morelos is the definition of a penalty box striker.
I genuinely thought you were about to say the definition of a fat bastard, but okay, yeah.
That's that too, but ultimately you cannot give a forward like Morelos that much space in the box. This is the difference between the likes of Liam Boyce and Alfredo Morelos. Morelos needs one chance to score that goal, and he gets it.
Yeah.
You present Boyce with that opportunity 5 times, he might score 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Morelos is that kind of forward. And I have to say, I was actually quite impressed with the way that, like, when the game was going on, you can see what Van Bronckhorst has done. I think he's just made it simple for them. I almost think he said to, like, Ken and Morelos and Aribo in particular, right, where do you like to play?
Yeah.
Just do that then.
I get you.
Don't do anything overly complicated. Like, Ken was back on the wings again, whereas under Gerrard, he was kind of floating everywhere. Aribo was very central.
Yeah.
Morelos was up front. He very rarely dropped deep. So it's something that I noticed, and I feel like, he's getting them. They've got that little something back about them.
I understand. Yeah, no, I get you. Well, in that same vein, it didn't take too long to have that something again. So 5 minutes on, or if you want to quote me on the actual time it was, Alan, it was get in, fucking it. It was a long ball from Goldson. Like, again, just to say it one more time, just the actual speed of was it Aribo, Alan? Yeah. See, look, fucking top class researchers you have here, guys. Thank you very much. Again, like, I mean, I don't know if you could maybe say that Suter switched off, or again, just to say it, like, if he was too quick for him, but I will again give credit to like Aribo. I genuinely didn't think that he was going to actually go for the shot. Like, he took a great shot, and then, like, again, I mean, again, you could argue maybe that Craig Gordon could do better. Like, like, I'm not sure, but it was a good goal. And again, I don't think there's, again, just to argue that point, I mean, you could argue that Rangers did kind of deserve to be, like, in front. Like, I don't know, but it was a well, like, sort of taken goal, though.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really well taken touch as well. I think that was the thing that impressed me the most about it, was Connor Goldson looks up, and that pass.
It is a really well, like, sort of time pass.
He's literally looked up, seen the space, and just played it in there. And that's what Suter's been doing that for us as well. And when you see it and when it comes off like it did, it's impressive. But the touch from Aribo to take it out the air and control it was very, very impressive.
Very.
But yeah, I kind of thought he'd maybe gone a bit too wide, but the shot was just so accurate. It was literally in the only place that Gordon couldn't have saved it.
Yeah.
I think because we started so well in that first 10 minutes, then obviously we conceded 1 goal. I think we were a wee bit shocked.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I just think we stood off. Like, we gave Aribo the space to run into.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that that's a fault, but
Mm.
I just think we hadn't quite got our kind of coolness back or our composure after conceding the first goal. I think the Rangers took advantage of that and obviously got a second goal quickly after, which knocked us for 6 massively.
It did. It did indeed. But then again, as well, like, just like sort of like, just to say the same point as when the first goal went in, even though it was a bit of a shock, I didn't feel like entirely concerned as such in the context that I thought, because we started so well and because both sets and teams were showing quite a high intensity, I thought it was going to be a game full of goals, but I mean, from that same note, throughout the rest of the first half, the boys did have a few a couple of half sort of chances as well. I think a topic that you yourself did want to talk about, Alan, and we may as well dive straight into it. Josh Ginnelly. Obviously, of course, we will mention it throughout the second half, but he did receive a yellow card, which started off, I believe it was a shot from him, which took a deflection, as every Hearts fan actually saw, which was meant to be a corner kick, but our beloved referee, can't he mind his name, but that's how much I don't care about him. Was it Nicky Walsh?
Nick Walsh.
Nick, why am I calling him fucking Nicky?
I was going to say that's an affectionate nickname.
He's no my mate, fucking wank. But yeah, he then the points for a goal kick, which then leads Giannelli to in my sort of Edwards get up in his grill, which, to be honest, I don't think he did. I don't granted, I know that the sort of the facial sort of space was closer, but I don't think that kind of merited a yellow. I mean, he was only protesting at the fact that it was actually like a corner. But I can understand why, but in the sense that I genuinely don't think that first yellow was merited. I don't think. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I think, I'll be honest, I think Ginnelly protested a bit too much.
Yeah,
I think,
no, I get that.
It's one of those that, he hits a shot and he was 35 yards out. Like, it wasn't as if he was in the middle of the goal and he would have scored if it hadn't deflected,
Yeah.
He was far out and he dragged the shot and it did deflect. It was a slight deflection, but you could see it deflected. But maybe, and I again, like I was saying earlier, after the game, I went onto Twitter and had my usual moans and groans, and then afterwards had cooled down and went back and watched it again and thought, as much as I don't agree in terms of, the referee had an absolute stinker, we all know that, but I'll give him some benefit of the doubt because in that moment, it's a quick thing. It's easy to not see it. But at the same time, that's why you've got linesmen, and they didn't help him. So,
nope.
But Ginnelly, for me, he had every right to go and ask the referee.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps just the way that he did it and the fact that he just didn't let it go. It's like, right, you're not going to get the corner. Just let it go. Walk away and let it go.
Move on. But
it was a very soft yellow card, very soft. I just think the referee was intimidated by him, to be honest.
Good. But
him and his gloriousness.
Oh yes, you know it, sir. You know it. But from my notes, I don't think there was much to add, unless you want to add anything else from the first half, Alan.
No, I don't think so. The chance that sticks out in my head was the Liam Boyce one, but I think that was in the second half when Devlin played him through. So yeah, no, it's really, really frustrating because I said it at half time that
that's our favourite word, Alan, isn't it? Frustrated.
It is, and I said it at half time that if this game was 0-0, nobody would be complaining.
Not at all.
At all. They literally had 2 shots in the first half and scored both of them.
I know.
So
mental.
We had chances, we didn't score. End of the day, that was the difference between the sides at half time.
Yes, and as we went into the second half, Alan, do you want to take the lead on this, man? And I can just sit back and enjoy your beautiful voice on that.
Well, we actually played the same as we played in the first half. We didn't kind of let them at anything. We tried to push them. We tried to get back in the game, and we kept the ball. There were a few occasions where we were giving the ball away, a few wee slack passes here and there, but overall, I actually thought, do you know what? If we can get the next goal,
everything to play for,
yeah, this game's not over. But on the flip side of that, if Rangers were to get a third goal,
done.
Then essentially yes. But then we had obviously the Ginelli chance that deflected off Bassey and hit the underside of the crossbar, bounced behind Liam Boyce. How unlucky is that?
You couldn't rate it, man. You literally couldn't rate it. Like, it could have hit, was it Bassey, any body part, and that possibly would have had a higher percentage for that to actually go in. But the way that it's hit him, it's just like, oh yeah, bastard, honestly.
I know.
So frustrating, Alan. So frustrating.
There's that word again. No, I think I was kind of, I'm not going to use that word, but I was with Ginelli. I was frustrated with Ginelli for the most of the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
He annoyed me because I'm like, take the man on. You've got the ball at your feet. Take somebody on. And he didn't do it often enough. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or whatever, but the one time he did it, he got past the Rangers boy, puts the ball in the box, and it could have went in.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, do you think that's something that is maybe indecisive of him, where he doesn't particularly know in terms of the confidence aspect, where he doesn't really know whether what the right decision actually is, whether to actually try to cross a ball in or to try and take a man on?
I think so. I think he just, I mean, obviously this is all totally
this is our
perspective.
Sort of
there's no guarantees that this is accurate. This is just what I think.
Josh, we love you. See, it's fine. It's fine.
I do. I really do.
Well.
I think he's fantastic, but he is an annoying little player because you can look at him and you go, you could do so much more.
I know.
And our forwards in general could do so much more, to be honest. But Ginelli, I don't know whether it's just look up and see where your teammates are. Have a look, have that image of the game. And like I spoke last week about the relationship between Barry Mackay and Liam Boyce in terms of their intelligence on a football pitch. They know where they are. Barry Mackay knows where Liam Boyce is, and Liam Boyce knows where Barry Mackay is, and they link up very well. Ginelli maybe needs to work on that. Doesn't help that he's kind of been in and out of the team, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But it's very easy as a fan sitting in a stand going, take the man on, take the fullback on, run at him, because we've seen Hearts wingers do that for years. But the end product needs to be there. It doesn't matter if you take a man on and beat him with a cross, or if you beat a man with a ball at your feet and then you play a crap cross, well, you're going to get slaughtered from the stands anyway. I think it is just a case of just make the right decision. Maybe that is a confidence thing, or maybe he needs to work on that. I don't know. But I saw somebody suggesting that we should be giving Jamie Walker game time over Josh Ginelli. And
for all as much as I love him, and trust me, I do, because he's like a Hearts lad, like he is. He's not got legs to do that now. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
And I don't think there's any, like, as harsh as it is to actually say, I don't think there's there's like a place for him in the squad that Robbie could kind of like accommodate now.
Yeah. No, I don't think
know.
so. I think there was actually a rumor doing the rounds that St Johnstone or Livingston are two sides that are looking at him in January, be it a loan to the end of the season. It's Jamie Walker was a very good servant for Hearts.
Yeah.
And he did very well as a young player coming through, went down to England, made a decent career out of it, had a few injuries here and there, which was a shame, but it's just not really worked out for him since he's come back.
No.
And I think we've outgrown him, to be honest. I think that's where it lies for me. I think Ginnelly is the better player, to be quite honest. And I think if we're going to move forward, we need more Ginnellys and less Jamie Walkers.
Yeah, but that's the thing
I hate to say it. I hate to say it because I like Jamie Walker.
Too.
Like you say, I like him and he is a proper Hearts lad, and it's a shame. But
but like you said, Alan, like it's not so much for us. It's more for him because he can still do like a job. Like you said, if it was to actually be one of the more sort of bottom, like sort of the teams, like sort of down the league, like what I mean, he can still do like a great job. And if that were to actually be the case throughout January, then absolutely, like what I mean. So be all for that.
It's one of those, and going back to Ginnelly, that I think there's a player in there. He's done very well to get back into the team and stay in the team.
Yeah.
But then, frustratingly, he'll miss the next game. But yeah, like in terms of chances in the second half, we had, as I say, the one off the crossbar. We had Liam Boyce getting slotted through by Cammy Devlin. And then it was a shot from the angle that McGregor saved well. It was just the second half was very open because you could see that we were trying to get a goal to get back into it, but we were also wary of Rangers when they came forward because they had chances in the second half as well. They had Scott Arfield put one wide when it was probably easier to score. I think Aribo had another couple of chances as well. So it was a very open game.
Very.
To be fair, between two sides that were clearly just trying to score goals. But what more can you say? What more can you say?
No, Alan.
I've seen. I said this after. I've seen us play a lot worse than that and win.
No, man. Like I do agree because, like, in the sense, I thought throughout the middle of the second half, I thought Rangers in general were just constantly counterattacking, and I think it'd be quite easy to say that for all as much as we're good at it when we're on it, Rangers like again, it just falls down to how quick they can just turn it and then just straight away they're absolutely like away. I mean, one thing that's kind of been in and out of my mind, and again, when I took to Twitter to have a look, it was a very divided sort of points of opinion, and that was the penalty claim. Now, I've seen a lot of the people saying that was a Stonewall penalty, but I've also seen quite a few people saying that just based off the actual law of the actual game and in terms of handballs more specifically, that there was a lot of people that wasn't surprised that was not a handball. Now, of course, the incident that I'm referring to, so it was the Gary Mackay-Steven that managed, I don't know how he did manage to keep that in, but he played the ball into Boyce, and there are a few other clips doing the actual rounds if you've not seen it yet, but it more than took a tiny clip off of Olsen's hand. I could probably say that it took like about that much like of his fingers, but to the naked eye of the referee, and again, I am in no way, shape, or form trying to defend that wank, but again, it took a knock from his hand, but the way that the ball went after it touched his hand, if you're kind of standing away from it, you would probably argue that the ball didn't move the sort of direction that much. Like, again, like, like, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm going to do a you, Alan, and I'm going to sit on the fence on that one, because I really don't know. I honestly don't know if you could probably claim that as a penalty or not. Again, like, it falls down to the argument if we did have the AR right now, whether or not that would maybe give the penalty. I mean, what were your views on that, mate?
I think I've watched it probably 5-6 times since the game, and my opinion changes on it every time I see it, to be honest, as is the way with me. But I can understand people saying it's a penalty, and I fall on that side of the fence. I think it is a penalty, because the way the ball's played in, it does hit his hand, like you say.
Yeah.
And the ball does spin, and it makes it harder for Boyce to hit it. So it's affected the flight of the ball, and Boyce probably would have had a much cleaner strike at it if it had just come straight to him. Now, the argument against it is his arm is not out of his body. It is a natural position. You know, it's not as if he's got his arms above his head and it's hit his arm while it's up in the air. You know, his arms are down by his side, albeit they're slightly spread out. But, you know, he's, as I say, he's not punched the ball away. It's kind of hit his hand because his hand just happened to be there.
Yeah.
But again, it's the sort of decision that if we had VAR reviews that and a penalty is given.
Yeah.
But we don't have that luxury. So
yeah.
And at the same time, I don't think that there was many protests from the players wanting it. Which I thought there would maybe been a little bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, no, because like when because I like to think that the influence on a referee to make that decision partly falls down to how loud the fans are.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
at that same time, there wasn't a lot of fans that actually like sort of boycott that. Like, you know what I mean? So again,
it happened very quickly. It did happen very quickly. It's very, very easy after games to go, oh, look at that angle. You can see it. What I will say, and it seems as if VAR is not far away from what they're talking about. It could be next year or the year after. I think players up here, and I'm not just talking about Hearts, I'm talking in general, they're going to have to be a little bit more vocal in protesting these things.
Yeah.
Because VAR will not get used unless it's pointed out to them. Go and look at that. You know, you see it in England. You see it in England all the time when there's a goal scored and it's only marginally offside.
Yeah.
Players crowd the referee and tell them, check VAR, what are VAR saying? Up here, the players are going to have to do that, but also sort of stay within the kind of rules of, you know, don't get up in the referee's face like Ginnelly. But yeah, we'll see. And it was a frustrating one not to get, because I think if we get a penalty there,
then it all changes.
You're back in the game and the momentum's with us again. But like, it wasn't to be. And I will say about the second half in general, Nick Walsh, I don't know what he was doing. Like,
nobody knows, Alan. Nobody knows.
The yellow cards, that man, I mean, he's getting in the festive spirit by giving out cards. Like, it's ridiculous. 13.
What a fucking line, Alan. Love it.
He'd added all these new names onto his Christmas card list, that man. Honestly, I think he thinks he's Mr. Popular. Like, it was ridiculous. But some of the yellow cards, not even just for Hearts players, some of the Rangers ones, I was like, what's he done to get a yellow? Like, it's totally ridiculous. And I know, like, the one that I saw that I looked at and I was like, yeah, he's probably got that right, is Alan McGregor. But it took him 56, or it was more than that, actually. It was 15 minutes before the end of the game, and he booked McGregor for time wasting. Alan McGregor was time wasting every chance he got.
All fucking game, exactly.
But this is the thing, and like somebody pointed it out as well, that James Tavernier got booked. I didn't even see him get a yellow card.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was for. Like, it wasn't an obvious thing.
All right. Okay.
And I'm like, I didn't even realize he got booked. And then I looked back at it and I was like, oh yeah, 13 yellow cards. Like, what is he doing, man? Like,
it's a lot.
And the thing is, as well, that played into Rangers' hands as well, because it made the game stop-start and we couldn't get going again. And
yeah,
it was really, really annoying. But the biggest one and the most annoying one, and the one that I'm going to talk about because it really annoyed me, was Josh Giannelli.
I mean, before you get into your rant, Alan, do we want to have like a tiny bit of a good talk beforehand? Because if I remember rightly, and we did mention him beforehand, our glorious left back almost scored another fucking cracker as well.
That is very true. That is very true.
So before we delve out, let's just have a nice wee calm down. Again, like we said it, we've said it on quite a few times. Whenever he's in that sort of position on the actual park where he's going to have a crack at it, I almost feel as if it's going to go in every time, which inevitably it almost did. Like the power, and you could hear the noise that it came off of the bar as well. Fuck it, I'll say, Alan, frustrating as fuck.
It really was.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, it really was, and it's one of those situations that, you know, again, I've said it at least 5 times in this podcast so far. If we score that, we're back in the game.
Yeah.
And it was just so annoying. But listen, Stephen Kingsley can do that. I have to say, McGregor actually did very well to get near it.
Yeah,
obviously it hit the bar. It hit the bar, so McGregor didn't need to save it. But
no.
I feel like if it was slightly lower and on target rather than hitting the bar, I think McGregor would have actually had a good shot at saving it.
Possibly.
But look, I mean, it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? I wish it went in because it would have been an absolute grandstand finish, but it wasn't to be, and it is what it is. Like,
absolutely,
he's not going to score every single one. Let's be honest. I wish he does.
I wish he didn't.
It's not going to happen every week.
Absolutely, but now that I've said my piece, I will be quiet for the next few minutes, and I will set you up, Alan. So, of course, we're going to talk about the incident, which actually started off not involving Josh Giannelli. It was a very hard tackle from Devlin on the far right of the pitch, and I'll let you take it away from here, Alan. I will be absolutely silent for the next few minutes. Take it away.
So it was the tackle, like you say, from Cammy Devlin was a hard tackle, but it was a fair one as well. To be fair, he did get the ball, which I have no idea how he did it, and he sent Barisic onto his arse.
He did.
But yeah, it was really strange the way that it kind of unfolded, because Barisic got up and was kind of squaring up to Devlin, and Devlin was obviously squaring up back to him, as is what Cammy Devlin does. And then it kind of just sort of faded out a bit. And it was like Barisic sort of acknowledged, okay, yeah, do you know what? It was actually quite a good tackle. And they seemed to make up, like they shook hands.
Yeah.
And then Giannelli just comes in. I don't know if somebody said something. I don't know if he said something. I don't know if somebody said something to Devlin and Giannelli reacted. I have no idea. But Giannelli just gets involved. And I'm thinking, you're on a yellow card. Like, this referee is giving cards to everyone. You're going to get sent off here. What are you doing? But then it's funny because they said it on Sports Scene, and I didn't actually realise it until I watched it again after. Giannelli sort of goes in and says whatever he says. The referee panics and goes over to Giannelli and tries to pull Giannelli out of the way. It's like, you're the referee. Why are you getting involved? Like, it's totally bizarre. It really, really is. But at the same time, Giannelli was naive and a bit silly to get himself in that situation where he didn't need to be. It's an easy second yellow card. He's going to get it. The referee is going to send him off. But you just, it frustrated me more than anything else because it was 10 minutes to go. If we scored with 10 minutes to go,
we're back in the game, are we, Alan?
Exactly. That's my catchphrase for this episode. Back in the game. Annoyingly, we never
back in the game. Yeah,
annoyingly we never got back in the game, but
we did not. No, we did not.
Yeah, and you're just thinking you're putting pressure now on the rest of your team.
Yeah,
10 minutes to go, we're down to 10 men, and the game just sort of faded out from that point. But yeah, the referee had lost total control of that incident. Like, he was utterly embarrassing in that second half. As I said, yellow cards to everyone that wanted one. You know, just it really, really annoys me. And this is a whole different rant to have. But the Scottish Premiership is a professional football league, and we have part-time referees. Like, I can't understand the logic. I'm like, and they're asking these part-time referees to use VAR. Like, that's not going to solve anything.
No.
They need SFA, SPFL, whatever. Neil Doncaster needs to do something, invest some money in getting these referees trained.
Invest
train,
money.
Train the referees, because all they're doing right now is just pretending to be referees every weekend. It's like,
True.
They've got a day job Monday to Friday, and then they go and referee at the weekend. It's like,
Tish.
But this is the whole thing, and that's why for me it's laughable. I'm like, this is a professional football league, and we're talking about, oh, we'll get left behind by other leagues in Europe if we don't have VAR. We'll get left behind by other leagues in Europe because our referees are embarrassing.
Absolutely, spot on one.
And that, yeah, like Nick Walsh was just ridiculous, but he was bad for both sides. I'm not saying that. And thankfully, none of the decisions that he got right or wrong impacted on the game that much. Aside from the penalty aside.
Aye.
Yeah, it's, as I said before, you can give him the benefit of the doubt in some of the decisions because they happen very quickly.
Yeah.
The Ginnelly incident, he just lost complete control, as did Josh Ginnelly, and that's why he got sent off.
As per Alan. Well, as you said there, like, you know, once that actually happened and when Hearts went down to 10 and the game kind of petered out. And I think if I'm remembering rightly, you said it. A lot of our podcast friends said it, like, as well. I'm sure the Corbett said it, Laurie said it, and Daniel Kyber as well. It literally falls down to both the teams had the chances there. It's just that the Rangers actually took their chances and we didn't.
Yeah,
that was it. That was it.
It does. It boils down to that. The one positive that I'll say is that Cammy Devlin got booked, so therefore misses Dundee, and should be back from the ban to play Hibs in January. So that's a bonus.
Well, sorry, Alan, go on.
No, I was just going to say he's collected his 6th yellow card, which now gives him a ban. Good to have that out the way before we play Hibs, because if he was walking into the next few games with that yellow card ban hanging over him, without him, and there was also whispers that Benny might not be back for Hibs, that would be an issue. But the one thing that I'll say once we've wrapped up and we move on to Dundee, I've got an interesting question for you.
Go on.
But yeah, I think context, like you say, the game against Rangers, I was happy with how we set up and how we played that game. That was a Robbie Neilson Hearts that I want to watch every week. I think we've come a very long way in a very short space of time. I remember seeing many, many games that Hearts have played under Craig Levein normally, where we sit back, soak up pressure, try to get a draw. If we go 1-0 down, we go, well, let's just keep it at 1.
Aye.
That Hearts performance against Rangers, and also the Hearts performance at Parkhead against Celtic, was encouraging.
Yes, I agree on that.
That's the biggest positive that I take out of it.
Yeah, and like you said, we've said it quite like a few times. I wasn't angry at the fact that we lost because we actually had like a goal. And yeah, like, you know, like what you've got to mind as well. Yeah, granted, it was the first defeat at home this season, but just like as I say that, like, as well, the first defeat at home, and we're in December, and it was like against the champions. Like, you know what I mean? I know that we want to make Tynecastle as hard as possible for like sort of for like any team to to actually come here. And if we got absolutely pumped, like 4-5-6-0, right, then you've got a case to actually moan about it. But again, this is probably about the 20th time like I'm saying it, but it was more frustrating than anything. Like, you know what I mean? And
it was. But I'll throw this at you before we go into Dundee, actually, because it's probably a bit more relevant now.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 4 games before the winter break kicks in. Okay.
Yep.
We've got Dundee away, obviously, on the weekend. Then we've got Ross County at home, St Johnstone at home, and then Hibs away on the 3rd of January, right?
Tasty.
Then obviously we have the winter break for a couple of weeks. How many points do you think we'll get in those next 4 games?
Oh, interesting question, Alan. Interesting question. Now, I know we're going to talk about it, but going to Dens Park should be a win. But again, it's those places for Hearts, especially. Like, it's just the kind of place that you just expect not to pick up 3 points, even though you should most definitely pick up 3 points. No disrespect to County and St Johnstone, but the way that they've been sort of the playing just now, I believe that as we're talking, St Johnstone are sitting bottom of the table, Ross County are in 10th. So to me, that should be 3 points each as well. So, and with the Hibs game, again, that could go either way. Like, for all as much as Hibs in the situation that they're in, like all form kind of goes out the window when you play each other. And I'd like to say that I do sympathize with Hibs right now, but I honestly don't. But I would like to say we should be coming away with at least 9 out of 12.
Okay.
We should be.
Yeah. I'd say that's fair.
I would say that at the worst case, if we were to come out with a draw at Hibs, I would say we should be coming out with 9, but a possible 10, I think, is absolutely doable.
Yeah, I noted down 10 as well. I'd be happy with 10. And the thing is, the way you look at the table and the way it is now, and the results that other teams are getting around us, Dundee United have slipped up recently.
Yeah.
Motherwell slipped up recently. Aberdeen slipped up a few times recently. Hibs just being Hibs.
Yeah.
We have a massive opportunity in these next 4 games.
Absolutely massive opportunity.
Get 12 points.
Yeah.
12 points is achievable.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not. I don't think we'll get 12 points. I would love it if we did, but I don't think we will.
No.
But 12 points is achievable. And if you're looking at that, so we will be on, let me get this right. So we'll be on
42 points.
42 points after 22 games going into a winter break. I would take that every day of the week. And I think...
Bite your hand off, huh?
The fact is right now we're 5 points ahead of Dundee United and 5 points ahead of Motherwell.
Mm-hmm.
If we can increase that gap on them...
Happy days.
Do we have 3rd place secured already? Is it early to say that?
Quite possibly. I mean, mate, I'm still holding out for 2nd day, so
it's just an interesting point
to think about,
because we want to put that run together, don't we?
Absolutely. Well, Alan, that might be a good thing to put on to the Twitter page once we put this out. How many points do you guys think we will accumulate up until the winter break, as all the games that Alan just mentioned there, Dundee away, Ross County and St Johnstone at home, and Hibs away? We would be interested to actually see how many points you guys think. So I'm sure that Alan can put that up shortly after this podcast has went out. And on that note, Alan, your favourite team in the whole of the fucking league, Dundee. away next week. Like I just said there before I ask for a scoreline from yourself, it's the kind of place that you should most definitely be getting 3 points just based on where they are as a team, where it is as an actual fucking place itself. But again, it's one of these sort of teams that you just know that something's just not going to go right. I don't know why I think this. It's just expected of us. Like, I mean, like, typical Hearts. What are your thoughts going into this game next week, mate? And what scoreline do you predict will be the outcome?
I mean, I think it's like you say, it's definitely a winnable game. I don't think
100%.
there's any question of doubt about that. The issue I have is more about what we do, because Devlin's not going to be there, Benny's not going to be there, Janelli's not going to be there. So you're bringing in, I would imagine McKenna will probably start.
Yep.
Barry Mackay.
Yeah.
Ben Woodburn potentially coming back in,
possibly as well. Yeah.
Front. But the good thing is we have options. And
yeah.
We don't
Absolutely.
know who's 100% going to come in and play. But back to Dundee, they're a side. I was looking it up earlier. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games, but they were against Celtic, Rangers, and then a narrow loss to Ross County 3-2. So you can't really judge much off that, because Celtic and Rangers, they're not going to get points off of them.
No.
They won 2 of their last 5, which is Motherwell 3-0 and St Johnstone, they beat them 1-0. Very impressive in the Motherwell game. Motherwell, it was the week after Motherwell beat us. And it was a totally different Motherwell team, which was very strange. But Dundee, to be fair to them, played well and took advantage and scored goals. They've conceded 10 goals in their last 5 games. They've scored 8. They'll give us chances. They will give us chances to score. But as we said, and as the biggest annoyance of the game at Tynecastle was, we need to take our chances. And we need to put them away. Because, like I say, Dundee will give us chances. They've got a good goalkeeper, but they will give us chances, and we have to take them.
Definitely, Alan. And on that note, what is your predicted scoreline?
See, I've got it in my head, but I'm doubting myself right now.
Many a time I've thought that, mate. It happens to the best of us, mate.
I'm going to go for Dundee 0, Hearts 1.
And I'm going to say this, like, folk think I am lying out my arse, but I genuinely think it will be the same score. I'm not just saying that, like, in terms of the actual points, like for the scoreboard. But we're on 10 each anyway, like, or 9 each.
Yeah, I've lost track. It's 10. I'm sure it's
so, 10. I'm gonna also go for a scrappy 1-0 Hearts win. I don't think it's going to necessarily be the most entertaining games, like a game at Dens Park, like it never is. So I'm gonna go with a 1-0 win.
I can see a header from a corner, maybe a Halkett or a Suter, something like that. That's the way I think it's going to go.
And interesting and analysis there. I mean, I would gladly take a kick, like a Kingsley free kick from fucking 50 yards. I'd take that any day of the fucking week, mate.
I would take it bouncing in off Liam Boyce's arse. I don't care as long as we beat them. I'm not interested.
Imagine that. Imagine I'll get fucking in there. Yeah, fucking that'll do me. That'll do me.
But it's not a penalty, so it doesn't count.
Oh, sorry. Oh, beef. Sorry, Alan causing beef. Love it.
I had to.
Stick to your guns, son. Fucking love it. So yes, on that note, we shall end the podcast with Alan predicting a 1-0 win at Dens Park next week, as am I predicting a 1-0 win at Dens Park next week. So we will update our quality up-to-date head-to-head, and we shall pop that up as well, and we will see if we are right. And of course as well, we'd love to hear what you guys think and what the score will be for next week's game. And on that very same note, as always, guys, we come to the end of the 33rd episode of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian. Thank you very much for watching. Again, it is always Like appreciated, guys. And if you are not subscribed, please think about subscribing and smash that little like button as always. And if you want to get in contact with us through our Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter as well, as Alan is pointing out, it is on screen and in the description as well. Love it, Alan. Love it, Alan. So you can get them in the description and on screen as well there. And then if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, is on screen as well and also in the description as well. Since I was young, 1874@gmail.com. I don't know if I can do that. But if the plane goes on fire, run your arse off. Get out of there.
I'm just practicing my VAR. I'm practicing my VAR. That's what I'm doing.
Good catch there, man. Good catch. And lastly, as well, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, please feel free. Both of our links to our Twitter accounts will be in the description as well. And on that note, Alan, thank you very much for joining me as always, my man.
No, you're very welcome, sir. You're very welcome. Another frustrating afternoon.
Frustrating day at the office, sir. Absolutely. I will actually go back and see how many times we actually said frustrating. It will be interesting to actually find out that stat as well. I
feel like there's a Twitter tweet coming out now, a frustration count. I feel like that's my role here. I think I have to do that.
Love it, mate. Love it. Well, on that note, before we do say it like one more time, thank you very much to everyone who has watched this episode of the Since I Was Young podcast, and we will see you very soon. You take care. Bye for now.